quickly, before she goes to bed, Paige wanted to be in the beginning of the video. So, Paige, what did you think of the episode of Doctor Who we just watched?
It was good.
Good. Did you have a favourite part?
The same part?
The same part that happened again and again. The whole thing just repeating itself.
Yes.
So you enjoyed it. And what did you say? The Daleks are your favourite Doctor Who monster? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, off to bed.
That.
Alright.
And night.
Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I like to talk about all the geeky pop culture that I like and consume, including things like Star Trek, the MCU, and Doctor Who. And it is Doctor Who time again because we've got the first of the specials, the 2022 specials, that will round out the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall era. Eve of the Daleks is what we're talking about today. Now, I love a Groundhog Day time loop story. I love them in pretty much any time they come up. Some of my favourites are obviously Groundhog Day itself. The film Palm Springs, if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Netflix, or is it Amazon? It might be an Amazon one. Is fantastic. Do go watch that as a fantastic time loop story. Other highlights, Stargate SG-1 had a really good time loop story, and Star Trek Discovery's first season had one too. Basically, I love time loop stories, so I went into this primed to love this already because I just really love time loop stories. And yeah, I did enjoy this one. Also, very coincidentally, I spent the last 2 days moving stuff around in a storage unit myself on the 30th and the 31st. So I was actually in a storage unit on New Year's Eve in the daytime. I was moving things around between one storage unit and another one. And you don't need to know that, but basically great timing. I didn't choose to do that because it was in Doctor Who. I just had to move some stuff. So I feel an affinity with the people in this today. Moving stuff between storage units. So what did I like about this? The Daleks I thought were really good, menacing for the most part. I'll get onto a slight issue I have at one moment with them in a bit. But for the most part, they were menacing. I love the bronze designed Dalek that we've had since 2005, but with a little tweak with the gun. That moment when the Doctor tries to use the sonic on them, and he goes, the Daleks learn, and they've got this new gun they've adapted specifically so that the Doctor can't disrupt it with their sonic. I thought that was really good. And, you know, they had some other good lines here and there. Daleks are never sorry, that kind of thing. All those type of lines kind of worked really well. The one moment... No, I will talk about it now. The one moment where I was a bit like, okay, not sure this is really working, was a Dan and the Dalek moment, which I kind of felt a bit conflicted about. When he's there pretending to be someone who's just wandered in wanting to store something, and he's like doing his whole spiel, sort of like he did with the Sontarans, where he's like, oh, I just came in to do this, and like feigning that he doesn't know what's going on. Now, it plays very well to John Bishop's delivery style and his kind of comedy nature, and he delivers it really well. It's kind of weak. It's bizarre that the Daleks don't just instantly exterminate him there. And yeah, I found the scene a little bit funny, but it was a little bit odd that the Daleks didn't just kind of exterminate him, and instead they let him go up and tap the eye stalk, and all they say is like, do not do that, or decease doing that, or whatever they say. That scene felt a little bit off from the Daleks' perspective. It absolutely fitted with Dan's character that he would try something like that. And it was funny, but it just kind of felt a bit weird. But most of the Dalek stuff I absolutely loved. They were menacing, they were a powerful force. I don't think, in terms of a Dalek episode, in terms of a Chibnall era Dalek episode, I don't think it was as strong as the other two. I think the strongest one is still the first one, Resolution. That had some really good stuff, especially when the Dalek was out of its casing. There wasn't anything on a personal Dalek level here that really excited me. I mean, we had something interesting with the sort of human created Daleks last time. The stuff with the mutants in the first one, there wasn't anything that was massively gripping, but where they were menacing and they had the odd occasional line. In terms of our regular characters, I did go through most of this episode thinking that Dan and Yaz were being a bit underused and kind of in the background they weren't going to get any meaty character moments. And then came the Thasmin moment. Yes, confirmed, Yaz has feelings for the Doctor. It's been teased for a while now. Now, I'm someone who kind of sits in the middle of wanting or not wanting this. I've been generally thinking that I think the Doctor needs to have a break from having any relationship drama. I'm not against the Doctor having any relationship drama ever, but I think there needs to be large gaps between when they do. And we had like Rose, followed by Martha's infatuation, followed by River Song, and then I don't know if there's been enough time, but I don't dislike it, and I do really like what they're doing with it so far. I'm intrigued to see how they carry that on in the next couple of specials, and I really like the way they went about this, with Dan being the one to point out to both of them, first to Yaz, and go, oh, yeah, I can see that you really like her, like her, and actually making her admit it to herself, which she hadn't done up until this point. And then challenging the Doctor on the fact that the Doctor pretends not to notice, but really does. I thought that was an interesting way to do it, and then they of course get interrupted with more death and destruction, and they have to table that conversation for later. At the very end, when they're standing watching the fireworks go off and the Doctor and Yaz share a look, and then you see Dan in the background just sort of clocking the look as well. And then in the TARDIS later on, he's also there going, I know what's going on here, and kind of making sure they both know that he knows and that they need to have that conversation. Whether or not they will, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people out there that have been really rooting for this to happen, and I'm really glad they've stopped teasing it at least, and that made it a solid thing. That is really good, and I think this is an important thing for a lot of viewers out there. Like I say, for me personally, I wasn't fussed with if they did or didn't do it, but I know for a lot of people it is important, so I'm glad for their sakes that they have finally addressed it. And I don't know where they're going to go with it next. Is it going to be an unrequited love type situation, a one-way thing from Yaz to the Doctor? But even if they do that, I don't think that's a bad thing. They still, it's still got the important drama and the revelation of Yaz coming to terms with her own feelings, something she hadn't admitted to herself before. It's all great stuff, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes from here. Also, that was a great moment for Dan as well as being a great moment for Yaz, because he, when he was challenging Yaz, and he brings up basically his situation with Diane, that he waited too long to tell the person that he had feelings for, it, and then the universe ended, and it was too late, and and things had changed because he'd left it too late. And I like that they carried over that from Flux. So it'd be interesting, it was a nice moment for Dan too. So although up until about 2/3 of this episode, I was thinking Dan and Yaz are very much in the background of this. They've got some nice lines here and there. Dan particularly had some nice throwaway lines here and there, comedy lines and things. There wasn't really anything meaty for their characters. Then we hit that bit, and I really appreciated what they did there. I kind of wish it had come a bit earlier and carried into more of the episode, but I'm glad we got what we did there. I did slightly feel like Dan might have felt like a bit of a third wheel by the end there, though, as he's just kind of watching them exchange glances, and he's just there like, oh, okay, I'll get out of your way then. Just hope he doesn't feel too much like a third wheel in the future installments. In terms of the guest cast, I thought the actor who played Sarah was absolutely brilliant. I loved her in every scene she was in. She just had such a great character that had that very stereotypical Irishness about her, and her conversations with her mum on the phone were brilliant. Her interactions with the rest of the cast were brilliant. She's the standout star of this episode, I think. Absolutely made the episode with her interactions, and her whole attitude just was very watchable. The other guy, Nick, I started off thinking he was quite a bland character. Then we got the revelations of his slightly quirky weirdness, and initially I was like, okay, this guy's a little bit creepy, keeping all of his ex-girlfriend stuff. I think it's more of a because he's keeping it to try and just in case they there was a big skid of a car outside. Weird. Hope everyone's okay. Yeah, he was keeping all of the stuff to give back to his ex-girlfriends if they ever asked for it. But, like, there's so many different women's stuff that they're, the likelihood of them ever asking was... So it's a slightly strange thing. I think he might be either slightly OCD or sort of on the autistic spectrum, something like that, possibly. And that's... So I like where they went with it, that Sarah starts out thinking like he's just a complete weirdo, and then through each of the loops and sort of as she gets to know him, sort of realize he's actually a really sweet guy. And yeah, he might be a little bit strange in some ways, but maybe that's what she needs. And by the end of it, they're in, well, I don't want to say love, they're dating, they're going around the world together. There's certainly an attraction between them by the end. So that's a nice story. I like how that gradually develops and how their attitudes to, especially Sarah's attitude to him, changes throughout the episode. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about from the very beginning of the episode, where the Doctor resets the TARDIS to get rid of all the flux stuff that's still in there and try and repair the TARDIS. And we get to see something that I have wanted to see in Doctor Who for so long, and that is the console room reconfiguring itself around the cast. And the Doctor says they have to get out or they might die. I think that's a shame to have that in. I mean, obviously for the plot that was needed, but let's not keep that as established law that every time the console room reconfigures you have to be out of it, because I really would love a scene where the Doctor decides to reconfigure the TARDIS. Maybe when a new Doctor regenerates, we actually see it reconfigure around them. And we get to see a hint, a little smidgen of what that might look like here, which I loved. But I want to see it on a full scale. I want to see the complete new TARDIS console room form around the Doctor one time. Would love to see that. So I'm just glad we got a little sneak peek of it here. I did like the way this episode kept on increasing the stakes from finding out that the time kept on ticking down as well. So each loop you get less and less time. That added a new dynamic to it. The fact that the Daleks kept on increasing their numbers added a new dynamic to it. Every time that, it could have gotten a little bit boring, they found a way to increase the tension, increase the danger a bit more, to the point where they were just predicting their plans. There was that one moment where they had a plan, it kind of felt like the end game. Hey, we're going to come up with this plan, it's going to work. And then almost instantly in the next sort of loop, they all get killed because the Daleks have anticipated their plan. They kept on keeping it fresh, so the script did a really good job of keeping the tension up throughout the episode. A couple of things that I was hoping would be addressed in this episode or happen in this episode didn't, and that's partly on my own expectations, but I do think it was a couple of missed opportunities. Particularly, how good would it have been if we had gotten an actual regeneration? It always turned out at the loops that the Doctor was the last one to die, and so that's when the reset happened. But imagine if we got a couple of loops where the Doctor dies first and regenerates. I say a couple of loops because we would then get a brand new Doctor, a 14th Doctor. But in order to make it clear that this is not the person that's going to be cast as the 14th Doctor, that's why you need this to happen 2 times, because what you would do is you would have 2 different actors each time. So one loop regenerates into one actor, another loop regenerates into another actor, thereby establishing that the Doctor hasn't got a set who they're going to regenerate into next time already. Could be anybody. So that would put away things. If you just had one new actor, it would be like, hey, that person could be the 14th Doctor. But with 2, you know what they're doing. And it would have been really fun just to have a couple of, even a couple of minutes of a 14th Doctor. Just how cool would that have been? They could have done some really cool stunt casting with it. Maybe get back some of the Curse of the Fatal Death Doctors. Get a Hugh Grant in there. Get a Joanna Lumley in there. That kind of thing. Just for a bit of fun. I thought that's a real missed opportunity that they didn't do that. But I get it would have just been fan service and wouldn't really serve the narrative of the plot. So I do understand it from a story perspective. But man, I really wish that had happened. The other thing I'm slightly disappointed about is that they did not address what the state of the universe is after Flux. I mean, we're still on Earth, so maybe they didn't need to, but it was a big question hanging over the end of the last series. What is the state of the universe? We know Earth is okay. What about the rest of the place? And I'm slightly disappointed there wasn't even like a line about that. We know the Daleks have survived, obviously. Their battle fleet was destroyed, but the Daleks command is out there somewhere and sending more Daleks. So they still exist. That's about all we know. Yeah. But look, this was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. There was some nice character stuff in there between Yaz and the Doctor in the end, which I kind of wasn't expecting, which was nice. And yeah, I overall really enjoyed it. And like I say, the standout character was definitely Sarah, who I really enjoyed. And in the preview for the next special, we're getting Sea Devils. Another classic monster off the list to return after all these years. I'm looking forward to this, seeing what they do with them. Yeah, what did you think of this episode? Did you like either the Daleks? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to join me next time when this pirate episode, I forget what it was called already, comes out. We get to see the Sea Devils again. In the meantime, I'll be here with other Doctor Who videos, Star Trek videos, MCU videos, all that sort of jazz. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.